You got me now?
I gotcha.
All right, cool. What's going on, Josh?
Not much.
Um, so I got a couple things that I want to go over, and it's just not working out great for me. I don't know if it's my prompting or what it is, but I sent you an email a few minutes ago on kind of what my goals are, with the with a couple of lists attached as well.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do this? Do you want me to share my
Yeah, why don't you,
do one of
yeah,
the
share it. Let's share it. Yeah, I'm looking at the first list, but go ahead and just share it on your screen. That'll be easier. We can kind of talk through it. Have you loaded them in Clay yet, or is that the export from Clay?
um one of them is in clay. So my problem is I'm pulling data from D7, which is bulk data. It's a ton of data, but it's just not the best data, right? Um, what I want to be able to do is enrich pretty much any data source that I get so that it becomes great data, and then or a great list, and then be able to create great copy from that. Um, the reason why I use D7 is just because they have a ton. They have a ton. Instantly just doesn't have that many. So when I tried to go through instantly, I think it was a list of about 8,500. But there's hundreds of thousands in D7. So it just becomes an issue of taking that kind of crappy data and enriching it, making it great, and then being able to create great copy out of that. Let's see if I can
Yeah, it
find it.
makes sense.
Um, Not that one. Wasn't that one? It might have been this one. I spent a lot of time on this last month, kind of got burnt out and haven't really looked at it. Let me see real quick here.
It's okay. I know the feeling.
Is that not it? Okay, 27,000. Yeah. So this is what I was playing with. Um, how do we
So,
get, go ahead.
well, I was to say, tell me what you're like, what's the end goal? So you get the D7 data. Does it have email addresses, first of all? Is that a yeah?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
that's okay. So who's our target? Realtors?
Real estate investors, but there's going to be realtors mixed in here. There's going to
Okay.
be um, stuff mixed in here that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I understand that because it's D7. But
Yeah.
yeah, generally real estate investors.
Okay. So, and you're gonna send, once we get this list the way you want it to be, you're gonna send it out via instantly.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to go from left to right? Will that make it a little easier?
Yeah.
Do we
How do
get
I,
first names and last names, just out of curiosity?
you know, I think I tried at some point and it just wasn't accurate. What's the best way to do that?
That's a great question. Because we're reverse engineering the data source, right? So we get the Gmail. So part of this, I would tell you, like, see where the email is and how many of these are actually Gmails. I would never send to a Gmail address, a
Oh,
gmail.com address,
yeah.
because those are going, some of those might be workspace accounts, but a lot of them probably aren't going to be, especially for realtors. And you're just going to burn your domains because you're going to be sending to personal accounts, which versus, so I would tell you like right away, the first thing I do is put a formula on this list and exclude anything that was pure Gmail. And it looks like that's a lot of them. So
Ton of
just,
them.
and Yahoo, like anything that's indicative of like real, see how we're like janusgroup.com, those are all fine. Right. But when we get to Aaron Grant 12 at gmail.com, Aaron, any of those that aren't business domains,
Right.
it's going to kill you if you send to them. Just being transparent to you.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I need to know this stuff. Um, all right, so I mean,
So let's start there. I mean, we want to get the list. It's nice to have Facebook, Instagrams, and stuff. So there's some, we can do some, try to do some reverse engineering to find. So D7's not going to give you names.
no. And
How much you
that's
pay? How much you pay for this list?
so I got a month for like 120 bucks and I downloaded a ton. I can do 100 cities basically. So this is the top 100 cities, and I did the top 1,000 cities for investors and for home renovation, for lawyers, car washes, just a bunch of stuff. So
Okay.
it's pretty cheap, but I understand what I'm getting. You might be a lot of them, but it's going to get whittled down, right?
Okay. And then what what clay account are you on? Like what's your uh what level? Like see at the bottom above your picture on the bottom left
Yeah,
hand corner.
I think the free thing got I need to upgrade a plan. I mean for doing this bulk stuff, if we're 27,000 now, 28,000 now, it's probably going to whittle us down to whatever that number is. And then I mean, what do you suggest? Can I even get away with the this starter? Probably not.
Well, the problem is I don't care about the clay credits because I can help you build a table without using essentially a single clay credit. It's more of that that 349 one is what's going to give you the ability to call Cohere, call OpenAI API directly versus using clay credits. And you're not going to be able to use any. You're going to be able to use API directly to like Apollo, right? But you can't you can't use a lot of those things that are in my workflow without that 349.
Okay. Um,
That's you don't have to do it now. I mean, yeah, I'm not forcing. I don't want to force you into doing anything, but I'm just saying like you're gonna see like these API calls that are built in a lot of these tables. See where it says send data anywhere HTTP API. That's it's at 349 it starts before you
okay.
can use them.
So maybe that was one of my issues. Um,
Probably,
that I
probably none
was
of them were working. Yeah, unfortunately.
okay. Well, let's
Let's
kind
let's do
of
one thing at a time though.
yeah,
If that
get as
makes
far as
sense.
we
Yeah.
can. And I mean, if I need to, I'm happy to do it because this is part of it. Um,
So let's go after email and let's go see where it says email. Go after email and let's add a formula. And then hit the front slash, which is on the question mark. It's on the same button. Should be, yeah, there you go. And then email, the third one. And just say contains, and then the at sign, Gmail, comma, at Yahoo. That should be good enough to start. And then period, and then say if yes, or actually if true, sorry, if true, then, and then put yes, like in parentheses, and then comma, if not, and then put no in parentheses, and then hit generate formula and let's see what we get. Perfect. So see, we just wrote a formula that says if it contains Gmail or Yahoo, then it's going to exclude it. So just hit output as correct, and it'll take a few minutes to update it, but it's going to start updating this whole sheet. And then we're going to filter real quick and we're going to figure out like how many you're left with just to start. That makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, I wondered if there was a better way to do a formula that would, you know, like highlight the rows so you can clearly visualize it or not.
Yeah, and I'll teach you like the most powerful thing in Clay is that formula generator. So do you see how we just verbally kind of made up a use case?
Right.
And we literally we're just extracting text from a column. Like I would tell you, get really good at that because you can save yourself a lot of money by writing really, really good formulas in Clay and just extracting out data from existing data like this that you've already paid for. That makes sense.
Yep.
All right. So while that's running, we got a website, company name. Now tell me how far you want to take this, right? Are you looking to create you want to create the email? We obviously need to find the first name, last name. Um, you want to create do you want to get all the way to the point where you want to create the copy as well? Is that kind of the
Yeah.
goal?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, all right. So scroll a little to the right. You know, actually, can I just take control from you? Is that okay?
Yeah. 100%.
So I'm going to request remote control from you. It should pop up. You might have to hit uh, open system settings. You must be you're on a Mac like I am, and then enable that Zoom button there. See where it says Zoom.
Got it.
And it shouldn't show me that, but if it does, you can stop share.
That work?
Let's see. Let me see if I can control. I think I can.
Yeah,
Where's
you
your
got it.
play? Is that it right there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to scroll over here and look at what we have. So we're getting whatever socials they have, Google Business Profile reviews. Okay, so it's all road data. All right. So I'm just wondering, and I don't want to tell you you wasted your money, but I'm trying to think this through because I have a table that it kind of goes the opposite direction. It starts off with the Google Business Profile,
Mhm.
and then you go and see. And here's what I want to talk through, right? So in this case, you get the city and the state, right, and the socials, but you're having to go. What is the company visit one? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not sure. Click that and see
Okay.
what it.
Yeah, finding the owner decision. Okay. It's a good prompt.
Probably from you.
I've built so many, I don't even know.
I bet.
I'm just, yeah, I'm just thinking like, I don't want to create more work for you, but I'm just wondering like, could we get you to the end result much faster? So here we're taking, so here's the challenges. We have an email. Let's see, let's filter and see if we got a number yet. So we want no, I think based on okay. So it's good. I mean, we didn't lose that many. We only lost about 6,000. So that's nice. We have a domain. We have an email. Do you have any click credits? You have 100. Okay. I was trying. part of this I'm kind of thinking out loud of, should we invest the time into reverse engineering some of the information we need from this, or should we go about it reverse engineering it where we start with the company and go get the email? That makes sense. So that's, or is there something in between? Because I don't know if we're trying to find a first name. The problem with GBP data is you're never going to get a first name, right?
Yep.
So, and you can't, even though you might have their email, like, I don't think it's a successful proposition to try to send an email without knowing who they are. You know what I mean? First name, last name. That makes sense. So I'm trying to think about the ways that we can get the same information. Because honestly, there's a balance here between, yeah, $125 is cheap to get all this data, but does it still get you to the end result, right? Which is you need the ability to have validated emails with first name, last name, company name, website to be able to create any kind of research or any kind of copy, right? So I'm just trying to think through this is um, we're getting a website, so we have a company name in there. We have a category, we have a company name. Okay, good. We have a website. So we can do the research through Cohere to get the hyper personalized research, create the copy. The only limiter is the first name. And so let me think about how would I go about getting the first name? It's so weird. I've never ever seen a use case where you have the email but not their name. That makes so I'm just trying to think through this. This is ClayJet, I assume. You sure you didn't write this prompt?
I may have.
Yeah, I mean it's good. I like this. I feel like I would have remembered this one if I wrote this one. So,
That was probably me just trying to find, trying to find the owner.
see what happens when I run it. Yeah, because it doesn't have an API key. So let's do this. So we can't use haiku because we have to have an API key. We can only, yeah.
I should have an IP or API key for that one.
There's a share. Yeah, I mean, there's the one to get it, do it on Clay credits. Did you have one in there for haiku?
I
Maybe I
thought I
just
did at some point. Um,
let me draw it.
Haiku is open in the fourth tab up on the top. Nope, next to it. Yeah.
No, call it okay. Oh, you're gonna have to log in.
I did do that.
Do I have a different instance of Clay open?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's look at this one. Hold on, go back to that
Okay.
one for a second.
Okay.
This was one of your tables. Um, this specific one, I believe this data is instantly data. This is good
Yeah.
data. We can do one thing at a time, but this is
Okay.
the one that I asked you about a while back that it just wasn't generating. Um, I would say 90% were great. And then some of them just didn't make any sense. And I think it was maybe a prompting issue. But we can talk about that one after this one.
I mean, you got through this pretty far.
Yeah, and then I just hit a little block. That's why I wanted to reach out.
Yeah, so you have a Cohere key too, right? Obviously, because you're using this.
Mhm.
Okay, let me stop your screen here, and I'm going to share real quick because just I wonder I want to make sure we that I show you just the updated um, tables I'm using, so you can kind of decide
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
do we want to reverse engineer the one we have? Okay, so this is the two approaches that I'm using for myself now off Google Business Profiles and LinkedIn are kind of capitalizing on the fact that you can import GBPs into Clay 200 at a time and then go find the owner and then validate whether they have an email, which this is not a really good example of that, but and then create the copy. So let me show you an actual table.
That's finding emails through a GBP.
Yeah, so it goes and gets all the GBP, then you get the domain, you have the information for the company, right? And then from there, it goes out to ICPs and pulls the email. And the reason why we use ICPs is because it's, depending on how many you want, it can be as cheap as like 2/10 of a cent for a validated email.
What's the
Uh,
ICP?
the company is actually called ICPs. It's ICYPEAS.com.
Okay.
And I'll show you a live table here in a second. And then taking it all the way to the point of creating. And it's exactly somewhat of the approach that you have in that second table. So let me switch over and I'll show you a live table. And this one actually has a little bit more filtering in it because we're cross-referencing HubSpot, but pull in the GBP through Clay for free. And then it uses a prompt through Cohere to find the owner. And then once we get the owner, then we go out and find the email. And then you wouldn't worry about this checking HubSpot. But then we go out and do the research here and then create the copy. So what's a little bit different about this one though is we've moved from Claude to GPT-4 Omni for the copy because it's better. And I know it sucks, but that's how fast this stuff was moving. Where like a month ago, we weren't GPT-4 didn't exist, so we weren't using it. GPT-4o, by the way, not just GPT-4. And then putting it in. So either way, so here's let me break it down. Either way, we're going to need to have this kind of prompt in your table
Yeah.
to find the owner,
Yeah.
and we're not going to find the owner on every one, so you're going to lose some of these. I think we need to balance and try that. We need to start here and input this prompt into your table. So Instead of me doing it over the shoulder through Zoom, can you just share the table with me? You know what I mean? Because it's slow. Like if I'm in there through your computer trying to do it, it's slow. But if I can just, if you share the table with me,
Yeah, yeah,
like in the chat, then I can just load it right now and you can see me as I do it on. It'll be, it like, it, the latency will be much faster.
for sure. Okay. How do I share how do I share it?
So see this button down here where it says share,
Got it. Share,
and
turn
then
on,
you just,
turn
yeah,
on.
copy the link,
Yeah,
and then you can put it in the chat of the
got you.
Zoom.
Okay.
And let's do that first one
Yeah.
because that's the harder one. The second one, I mean, uh, it's we'll look at the prompt and we'll look at the API call and Cohere, but it's going to be one of those two, and some of that's evolved too, so it should be an easy fix because you've already done all the work on the second one, so there's not a lot to do besides just try to get it to be more accurate. Oh, you put it in there. Okay, I'm gonna close some stuff out so I can run 2 instances of play here.
Does that work with LinkedIn's too?
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is with LinkedIn, if you pull in people profiles, you already have their first name and last name. So you don't even have to run this prompt. So I have one for both, and I'll give them to you both after the call. But I have exactly, it's the same thing. The only difference is it doesn't have to do the people search because so it's a little complicated, but with the LinkedIn one, you're going to want to run companies first, unless you just want to search for people. Um, so let me explain this. With LinkedIn, if you do a people search, you can't really drill down to niches. You can only look at like roles, right? So you could do like founders and pull all the founders, but you can't pull specific company types. So if you just want to pull role, then this will work fine. But if you want to pull like a company type, like all the real estate investing companies, you'll have to pull a table of real estate investing companies like here. You see these real estate, this is law practices, but and then in the second table, when you add in the people searches, you actually import people and it recognizes, you tell it, which table you're pulling it from. So it knows not to pull in, it knows to only pull from that table with the companies. And it's a little confusing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, you can do it. Now, simply put, before I go back to that Google one, you can find people, and they may have added this. This is only in beta, so you might have to you'll check your account because I'm a beta tester, so I don't always know what's live and what's not. But it looks like this no longer says beta, so it may be fixed. But you just do find people, and this is another reason why that 349 account is good because you can do 25,000 at a time. So we could say real estate. Let's just see what comes up when you type in real estate. So obviously there's 25,000 people. But then you could do like job titles. So you could just say, I don't, we'll say investor. I don't know if it's going to pop up anything, but yeah. So right there, we just did a company search or a keyword real estate. We did job title investor and we got 5,700 leads just like that. Right. Now these are international, so you could drill down further, but all that's free. Like we're not going to get charged anything for building that table. And then this is what I was telling you, like with this kind of starting point, you already have the first and last name, right? You have their full name, so you don't have to enrich for that. You don't have to run an API call to try to figure it out. So this is a really good, use case. And what I'm going to show you in a minute with the rest of these tables is that it gets really cheap from that point because you have the company already, you have the job title, you have the their first and last name, you have their domain. So we're not having to go out and find any of that. Now it's just, can we find an email for them, do the research on the domain through Cohere to create the copy and create the copy. It's easily less than 1 cent per lead to get to your email. So that's one way to do it through LinkedIn. And I'll share that table with you. But I think the core of what I want to do with your existing table is I want to take this prompt first. So it's the find owner GBP prompt. There it is. I need to copy it. So let me get back to your table. Filter. Oh, it's not going to have your data in it. Shit. All right, one more thing I'm going to ask you to do. Can you give me access to your clay?
Yeah.
Because I forgot when you shared the table, I'm not gonna have any of your data. I just have the table. That's not gonna help you. You know how to do that?
No.
So you in your clay account where it says workspace settings right there, and then you hit members, and you add me right there. You find it okay?
Yep. Members. What's the email?
It's Josh at contentmarketingmedia.io.
Can edit and invite share.
And then I need to log out. It's gonna error out if I don't. So. You can tell I'm a cold emailer how many email accounts I have now. All right, perfect. So D7 investor supplement. Now close these out. I'm gonna log into mine. I need this. Okay. So now this will go quicker. So good there, we're good there. Company name. All right, let's start here. We need a text column. I'm gonna call it prompt. Prompt for order. It looks like I'm doing anything that don't hesitate to stop me. I'm just copying over the prompt.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a decent grasp on things, but
Okay, good.
it's just I was doing this with a buddy, and he went just the shotgun route and just mass emailing instead of really targeting. And I don't want to go that route. And not having enough data to really still send out targeted emails at scale, especially with instantly just not pulling that much stuff. I got to figure out how I can take incomplete data and make it complete, you know?
Yeah. So here's the first roadblock, though, right? Is that there's no way to find the owner without calling the API, which puts us right back at the 349. Do you see
Okay.
the
I
see what
mean, yeah,
mean
I'm
on that?
fine with it. If I got to do this, then I got to do it. It's part of what it is, you know?
Yeah, let's look at this table. I want to make sure we're thinking about this correctly. So even if we pull in, whether it's your list or this list, we have to find an owner. To find an owner, we're going to need to do Google searches and look at their website. And to do that, we're going to need the API key. So that's all. The only other option would be is what we just talked about is if you want to pull in via LinkedIn, then you're going to have the first name and last name of the exact contact that you're trying to reach out to, if that makes sense. So in that particular case, um, you wouldn't need the API functionality, but if you're going to do the business research for the copy, you would, right? So I'm just trying to think about this with you, out loud from beginning to end. Could
Well,
you do any kind of research? I'm trying to think. Could you do any research without the API? Yeah, but you would be like you use ClayGen, right? But then you're going to be paying credits for every one that you use, and it's going to cost you more than 349 anyway.
right. Well, I mean, eventually I'm gonna have to get it, right? So we
Okay.
might as well have all the tools that are in our tool belt right now so we can go through this effectively, right?
Okay. So two ways we can go about it. If you want to do it now, we can do it now, or I can give you these tables where it's already done and updated, and you can do it when you're ready.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, okay.
It's I can like if you're on that 349 plan right now, then I can map these API calls and run them, right? But that's the blocker. It won't let me do it until you are. So, or I could share with you these two tables where it's already built, and you can evaluate. You just saw though when you share a table, all you're going to see is one row. Like you can't see it. Um, and you could just copy and paste. So you see how like I can build. I put the prompt in there for you. Here's the prompt, and all the prompt is dynamically doing is visiting the website and then dynamically changing, right? Based off the website, it's looking for the first name and the last name. But to execute it, it's going to need that API call to Cohere. But I can't even draw it, won't even let me save it in the table without that access. But I could send you the table with it so you can copy and paste it when you're ready. But here's the body for the API call and everything. But I don't know that you let me know how you want to do it because last thing I want to do is force you to spend 349 on the call just because you're on the call. I want you to do it when you're ready. So you tell me what's easier for you.
Well, I need it. I want to learn how to do this stuff and be self-sufficient and have all the tools in my tool belt because I want to do this right.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab it.
I don't make any money if you spend money with Clay, so just so you know, I'm just trying to give you all the best answers. So
So I just bought it. Can I have it and then, basically just build what I need to build, like three different, maybe my next two quarters of lists that I'm going to send out and then just go back to the free plan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't.
I mean, the trick here is that you don't need clay credits for anything if you're on this 349 plan. You're just going to only be paying Cohere's API cost and OpenAI's API costs. And then depending on, like for this one where you have emails, I would tell you, I mean, have you ever used any of these D7 emails in a campaign?
Um, my buddy has, and I don't think he filtered for any Gmails or anything like that. He just went the mass emailing with an offer just to see if it would work, and it worked pretty well for him. But I mean, we scraped them through what was it, like MillionVerifier or something like that, just to make sure they're decent. And he didn't have.
Okay.
I mean, he had
Yeah,
pretty
as long
low
as
bounce rate.
that was my concern. Like,
Yeah,
was there a
yeah, yeah.
second level of verification? And if
Yes,
you use MillionVerifier, like I use zero bounds, as long as you're comfortable, because all this could be for nothing if 20% of these bounds, right?
for
So
sure,
that's,
for sure.
I want to make sure that everything's good there. Okay. So let me keep going. I got the prompt there. You added it in there. So we're going to use add enrichment API. We're gonna move faster now. Um, Copy this. The nice thing is we only have to do this once, and then for the research, we can just copy and paste the table or the enrichment. Do you have your? I know you previously ran Cohere because I saw it on the table. Is that in this? Is that in that other table? Your Cohere API key?
Likely, yeah.
Okay, I'll just go get it. I'm sorry. I know this is painful just to sit here and watch, but it'll be exponentially faster than me telling you to type it all. So. All right, bear, and let me save this, save and do not run. And do you remember what's the name of that other table with
It
the realtors in it?
cost-effective email copy at scale. Um, I need to rename that so we can
Yeah,
find
that's
it. Um, so hold on, I
I
have
got it.
you got the key. All right.
I found it.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it. So I just need to copy it. Okay, let's check. The message is Find our prompt GPT. For owner, and then the website is the URL, which is here. All right, let's run a few and just test it before we go on to the next step. Michael Cole, Jerry Feeney, okay, and then owner clean. Nice thing is you're saving the time of having to learn that sometimes it'll output punctuation, so we need to write a formula just to clean it. Remove punctuation. Oh, I did. Okay. And we don't like first name. See what I mean about formulas?
Mm-hmm.
It's 9 day. And you can like if you're not paying, you can get caught up in like doing this with Chat GPT and paying every time to do it. And like all this is free.
No, you spelled last name wrong.
Girls, I'm on the phone. Keep it down, please. And then let's see. That's going to get us where we need to be. We have emails. So we have first name. This one's, I don't know why this column's slow, but I'm going to do a couple rows and we're going to go from beginning to end, if that makes sense. That way you just know, like, all you got to do is hit play from then on after, right? And then I also want to set it up to automate it for you, right? So part of this table, which is what's beauty, is that every step doesn't run until the next one completes. And if it doesn't complete, then it doesn't run, and then you don't pay for stuff that you don't need to pay for. That makes sense?
Yep.
So we're going to do this with the best, what works most modern way.
Yeah.
I hope you're not frustrated with me, but it just the shit moves fast, man. So I'm
No,
constantly
no,
making
not
these
at all.
tables better.
I mean,
So
yeah, I was messing with this probably a couple months ago. That other table was more recent, but really it's just about getting complete data from what we have available.
okay, cool. We don't need their company information anymore. So no credits there, which is nice. You know what sucks? They need to invent a way to delete more than one column at a time. If you figure that out, let me know. Because I hate doing this. But we're gonna need these columns in your table, so that's why I'm taking the time to get rid of them. That's a column. All right. So let's go to my instance here so I can get the rest of this here. Actually, I have it in there. I don't know if you know this, but like these API calls, now that you're doing it, Cohere you can use for multiple things.
Mhm.
Just yesterday or 2 days ago, live, like on a demo call with the dude, like he gave me Instagram profiles, and I use this exact process to scrape Instagram profiles to the T. I can tell you if you're getting hallucinations to the other table we were talking about, it's going to be in your prompt. It's
Yeah,
not the API work, it's
right.
in the prompt. So you got to just be very specific. So just so you know, this prompt is written to only go to the website and go. This one that we're using for the owner, we're telling it to go to the website and to do Google searches. So it's going to hit website first to try to get all the information, and only if it can't get what I'm asking it to do, we'll go out to do Google. When we're doing the scraping on the for the research for the business to create the copy, we're not going to tell it to do Google searches, which will keep it from hallucinating.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yep.
And so it's only going to ever only pull stuff from the website, and then you won't have erroneous information. It's either not going to find it or it's going to be accurate, and
Okay.
that's how you get away. Like I've had a couple people message me and they're like, I can't. It's pulling back wrong information. I'm like, what? Tell me what the prompt says, and it's always the prompt that's driving it. So,
Right.
all right. So the other thing I was gonna show you too is you can save this as a template. So I'm gonna say save current config, and we're just gonna call it Cohere template. Let's say Cohere research. And that way, the only thing, if you want to use this over and over again for different types of research things, the only thing you change is the input prompt. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So we are going to enter the prompt. So do you see this prompt I'm about to dump in? It says your reporter does detailed research of the business. You need to prepare 4 detailed paragraphs of research. Visit the website. Please provide me 3 to 4 paragraphs on the business. Nowhere in here do I let it or tell it to do anything but go to the website. And that's
Right.
what keeps it from hallucinating. Whereas in the other one, I needed to be broader because I'm trying to find the owner's name, and that's obviously not always on the website. So it could hallucinate, right? But I have, at least in my normal workflows, I am okay with it sometimes pulling the wrong owner name because after that, I'm validating it with a validated email. In your case, I think it's because you have the email already. It's a, if you get 1 or 2% hallucination, then the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to send someone to an email and call them the wrong name. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to you, but I think it's worth the risk, right? And we can check some of them too, just to cross-reference that. Let's drop this prompt in here. Let's do website. It should be good. All right. And then, I'm sure you figured this out, but when you drop prompts in the column and put values, that's what causes it to dynamically change in every row. See how it's now this website. This one's this website, right? It's doing it in the column is what allows it to dynamically change to whatever's in the rows. And then we're going to add enrichment. So we're going to do Cohere again, except this time we have a template since we saved the template, and here it is. And we need a prompt for the owner. So this time we are doing the research prompt, the website. So here, here's something you could think about too. Like, and this is where you have Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts and stuff in here. So you could do 2 or 3 of these. You don't have to just go to the website. And it's going to cost you a little bit of money, right? The Cohere prompt is maybe 3 to 4 tenths of a cent, give or take. So if you wanted to play around with because you're getting some of these profiles, like you could do some scraping of their cohering of their Instagram and some of these other sites you have.
Right.
So just something to think about. It doesn't always have to be their website. I traditionally use their website because I just don't go pull their social media data. But because you got that as part of your D7, then it's something to think about. Like that could give you some additional hyper personalization,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
All right. So here's my prompt. And then I tied it specifically to their website here. So nice thing is I didn't have to recopy your API key because I saved it as a template. You can tell I'm on a Mac too. Let me just make sure I saved that correctly. All right, so let's run a few. Yeah, it's working like a charm. And some of the things I'll do too, just as you build these out, um, study the underlying data you don't always use. Like look at the citations, because then you start to kind of understand how powerful Cohere is, and some of this might be valuable to you, but it does provide just a shitload of underlying data that you could play with, right?
So those citations are just the different data points that they're using to get that information.
Yeah, that it's scraping from their website. You can tell all this is data directly from their website. So it's going to answer the prompt, which is telling it to answer it in paragraph format. But embedded, with this API call, you've acquired all of this data. So it doesn't mean, especially the citation data. So it doesn't mean you still can't use that if you wanted to, right? You can just add any of that to columns if you wanted to. And you see how the citation has 29 different outputs.
Yep.
You may not know, but another trick is where it says take action on a list. You could actually summarize that with like GPT Turbo at like one millionth of a penny or whatever GPT Turbo costs now via API, and even summarize like more data from the citation. So there's a lot of data in here that's embedded that doesn't necessarily. The important stuff will come out in this column, but it doesn't mean that it's not worth spending the time to look at. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
So if we look at these, like this is highly detailed. This is what we were going for, right? This highly detailed type research. I don't know why that third one is. It works. It's just slow. Did you notice how this third value is loading slow in every table?
Yeah, I've been seeing
Uh,
that.
there it is. So for sake of just consistency, let's do 10 per table. I want to see if we can get a bad answer on one of them. We're not getting bad answers so far. Okay, so here's one, right? So this is an example of where it found a couple different people. So here's how I overcome these. Like you can't, none of these models are 100% perfect. So this is like that 10% example you gave me earlier,
Mhm.
where it says, so what I would do in this case is I just would stop. Like if you're going to run 20,000, I mean, it's up to you, but if you're going to run 21,000 leads, there's a couple ways to go approach this. You can, you can use a formula and just say like add column, uh, formula, uh, multiple contains multiple, or I'm sorry, then yes, or just we'll call it error. If not, clean. It should show us the example of ones where it found these are see, so it didn't like that I did that. So what does it say? I found several names, so it contains several. Nobody's name is several, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. So what I'm trying to teach you is like how you manage these kind of issues at scale, right? Because if you're doing 100, you just go through the list and say, "Oh, I'm going to exclude that." But a simple way is like this run right here. Let's look at the token cost here. Build units, 5469, 86. So this run, I'm trying to do the math in my head, like maybe 8/100ths of a cent to get this result. So in my opinion, it's just how I approach things. Like I'm not going to spend the time to clean these ones that come out as an error for 8/100th of a cent. But what I will do is not run any additional AI on it, so I don't pay any more money.
Right.
But you could just as easy go like this. Go okay. Now because I'd added this little clean and error column, you can just filter by those errors and decide what you want to do with them from there, delete them from the table, etc. But that's part of why with some of these until AI gets 100% perfect, the solution is you write formulas behind every AI task to look for anomalies so that you can kick them out of your table and not send them to instant.
Yeah, love it. Okay.
All right. So like in theory, we shouldn't have run this one. Like we paid another 2/10 of a cent for this one because the reality is we don't know who this person is. So why are we doing research? Because
Yeah.
we don't unless we choose, unless you just don't care and you're like, but the problem is if you're in your email copy, if you're going to have first name anywhere in your email copy, then you got to have a good first name, right?
Yeah.
So that's just all decisions. But I'm going to show you in a minute how we program these columns not to run unless the other one gets a good result. All right, so we got research. Now you're going to need an offer. So we're going to add a table called offer. And like, just give me like do you have a website or anything I could just go grab real quick the information from what you're going to send out in this campaign?
Yeah, you can try anchordigital.co, I think it is. Or no, go to REI. Oh, it's been so long since I've been messing with this. Go digital. Go digital
Or yeah,
art.
I go do. Okay, go digital. That's it. Did I do it right? Go digital REI.
Go digital rei.com. Yeah.
Perfect. So obviously you're going to personalize this to be whatever you want, but I'm just going to show you the premise how it's going to work. Thank you, brother. And let's get a little bit more dynamic.
It's like the past life that you had.
What's the name of this? Oh, look at you. There you are. That's you, right? On the bottom?
Yep.
You can customize this however you want, right? I just want to have a good sample to create the copy. That should be enough. You notice it doesn't have to be pretty. I just cut and paste.
Yeah, I did.
All right, so it's going to start filling these in, and then we're going to do the AI here. And we are I mean, I'm recording, right? So you're going to get the recording of all this
Yep.
as well. But we're going to go AI,
No, sir.
GPT generate text, and then I'm going to copy the prompt over. And this prompt's even better than the ones we were using before. You imagine spend the time to write that long of a prompt? All right. So do you have an OpenAI API key?
Yeah.
Oh, it should. Yeah, actually, it's probably already in the table. Okay, so we're going to review and integrate the research output. And offer. Just double check. We don't need this. Everything else looks pretty good. Let me just double confirm. And then we want to, there's your API key. I need a GPT-4 Omni. This is an Anthropic key. Let's try it, but we may need to get a new, we need to double check just to make sure we got an OpenAI key. Sometimes Clay is stupid, but it looks like it's, yeah. Do you want to,
Yeah.
you want to see if you can grab your OpenAI key real quick?
Why? Okay.
Yeah, you might have to do that puzzle thing if you have to create a new one, which I know takes a minute.
Where's the API key even located?
You want to share your screen real quick and I'll guide you through it. Here, let me stop sharing so you can share.
All right. Is it at OpenAI or is it at ChatGPT?
I generally will go like OpenAI. I think I just, it's a hard link to find. Go OpenAI API. Try Google and OpenAI API. And then it'll take it to the dashboard where you can find it. When you get a second, share your screen so I can see what you're doing. Then I can guide you better.
There you go.
There you go. It's coming up. Okay. So go to Google real quick.
One of these.
No, just try in the search bar up there, just erase the URL and try OpenAI space API. There. Now search there it is. Click that. No, okay, go back. I know it's stupid. It's stupid. Try the second link. There you go. Now log in there. They don't make anything easy, do they?
No, we live in password hell too.
Yeah. Okay, see where it says dashboard up on the top right? Yeah, click dashboard. And then hit API keys. On the left?
On the left.
Bottom left, yeah. And then hit create a new secret key. Yeah, that's fine. You're probably gonna do a puzzle. Oh no, you got it right away. Okay, and just paste that in the chat for me. Yeah, it's hard to find. Yep.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the Zoom window.
Trying to find you, yeah. Is it in here? I can't believe how well that Cohere prompt worked for finding the owner name. That's great.
Good. Well, you know, it took a little while to figure it out, but
Sure.
oh, that's the original table. That's fine.
And that offer you just took, there's nothing special about that column. It's just you took stuff from the website.
Yeah, and you can tweak it to make the copy get better in a minute. You'll see how it works. So you're gonna, you know, one thing you'll have to pay attention to is like if you try to run this 20,000 times at a time, like
Yeah.
all of them at a time, it's going to error out because it's only going to let you. So the more and more you use this, like your limit will go up with OpenAI. They have what's called tiers.
Mhm.
And so they'll give you certain, that's not mine, but they give you certain tiers as you use it more and more. And you'll be able to, at some point, run all 20,000 nonstop, but just I wouldn't try to run more than 100 or 200 at a time until
Gotcha.
you start accumulating a lot. That's all that message is telling you. Let's see what happens here. Oh, do the copy. What do you think?
That looks pretty good.
You see the second one, you go, holy cow, it just completely dynamically changed to the second one. So you can kind of see the structure of this is highly detailed information in the first paragraph, and then introducing the offer softly in the second paragraph, right? And so the goal is really to continuously dynamically change. What GPT-4 did, even better than Opus, it just made it more more realistic. What you can do to edit the output of that is to just update the prompt, like play around and tweak this. Like you can change, like I have it written, they're all written from like a founder persona to be more professional, which seems to align with your offer here. But you know, you can, this is where you're going to make things change. You could go one paragraph, you can go up to 3 paragraphs, but it took me a while. I mean, it probably took me weeks to get to this prompt to the point where it's always clean and professional, right? And I mean, I'm sure you've seen what I do, but there's not one industry that I have a client for right now that it doesn't work. It just works because the only thing that changes is the client goes in and they put their offer in for whatever they want it to be, right?
Sure. Yeah. So I can play around with the offer and the email prompt just to kind of move things around. Cool.
Yeah, and now too, because you're on this API one, you can also dynamically push it to instantly, right? So if you come here and add enrichment,
Oh yeah.
add instantly.
I can do that now finally.
And you'll just map you add your API key from instantly.
Yep.
And then you'll be able to choose your campaigns. So I mean this table is good, right? Like all you got to do now is add instantly and then run them, right? We ran, what did we run, like 10 or whatever on each one. So I guess we'll finish the cycle. But do you notice through this whole process, we did not spend 1 click credit.
Right.
So if you were to add this up, this will cost you, it depends. Like it depends on how deep you go with this research, but you should be right around less than 1 cent per lead from any research point to creation of the email. And that's another reason why we moved to GPT-4 Omni, because it's cheaper than GPT-4 Turbo and better, right? So why would you not use it? But I can see just looking at it, like these are all, you notice what it's not doing? It's not like starting off every email with, hey, I noticed that you did this, or right? It's 100% dynamic.
Right.
And that's what you want, if you want to know, like, as you start sending your campaigns from a deliverability perspective, like that's what's going to help you maintain your domains, because 90% of your competition is sending the same exact 2 paragraphs to every single person.
Right. Can we go over to that other table? And
we only got 10 minutes, so but
yeah.
hopefully that was a big step for you, at least hopefully on that one.
Yeah, that's huge. I'll be able to, now I can clean shitty data.
Let's see. Remind me what the other one we called it. I know it was one of the things I named.
That's
I
a good
couldn't remember.
Hold on. It's
These are all my clever names. I recognize them.
yeah, I copied those down just so I could start messing with them. Where is
Wasn't it cost effective email at scale? Was that it?
Yeah. Where did that go?
I got it. Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
So you've done all the work here. I still think you're good using the Claude since you've already run them. So there's no point in recreating the. So you know what you could do if you want to use this GPT instead for the copy, then you can just cut and paste from that other table, right? And just like you saw me do live, I just did it with another solution I built, but you could just copy the prompts and everything. The research, what I would want to look at is what was different on the research if you're getting hallucination. It's probably this prompt. I mean, how much did you think was wrong? Like, was it about 10%? You thought was it different companies or just not accurate?
Yeah, not accurate. It was I don't know. I forget. One of them was called like Whitewater Real Estate or something. And, it was talking about, them being a shipping company or something. Um, and that was strange. And so, it's tough when you have a lot of these rows and you kind of got to go through almost one by one to make sure they're good. If you start finding one that's bad in the first 20, you're like, okay, well, how many are there?
Yeah, and that's exactly fair, right? So, I mean, my recommendation would be you have 6,800 rows in here, so it's going to cost you around $6.80, give or take, to rerun all of these, and just use the prompt from the other one and replace this prompt. Because let me look. No, I mean the call is the same, the exact same structure of the API call.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing you're going to have to decide though is like if you're going to do that, then you're going to want to recreate the copy, because the copy will, if the research is wrong, it will have gone wrong into the copy too, right?
Right. Right.
So if it were me, I would just update that research prompt with the one we just used,
Right.
and then rerun the copy, and I would use GPT-4 Omni.
Okay.
So I'd use the same because it's just I'm using that now on 13 different campaigns
Mhm.
for 13 different clients right now, and there is not one single campaign that it's not working.
Love it. Okay, great. So just replace Claude with 4.0 and that new prompt.
Yeah, I mean it sucks because you spent the money, right? But I'm just being honest. I can't tell you the amount of thousands of dollars I've earned trying to perfect this. And you know, to your point, you can't always see these kind of hallucinations unless you're looking at the first 20 rows and 5 of them are wrong, but they're getting better. I mean, especially Cohere is getting better, and it's all prompting. Like saying, you use ChatGPT, it's the same thing. You tell it to do one thing, it's perfect. You tweak one word and it's wrong.
Right. So, can you show me how a waterfall works?
Yeah.
Is that just what we talked about earlier, where the other rows don't run until
Yeah, so
everything's
let's
good?
talk about that. The simple No, it's a little bit different. So the first thing is we since I didn't mention that, let me just go to that other table. It's a better example. So if you're going to have this table run automatically, then the first thing you have to do is go into every column that you want to run automatically and change this setting down here to auto update on, right? And I'm going to turn it off because you don't want to pay for stuff you're not 100% sure on, right? Otherwise, it's going to run these API calls for everyone. But
Yeah.
if you want, when you're ready and you want to run it automatically, what you do is you leave this on and then you run a formula here
Yeah.
and you say only run if, and then you look at the previous step, right? So let me see where we're at. We're at the prompt owner. So we wouldn't need it on that because we're always going to have to find you, right? But where we would use it, that's going to be our first step to find the first name. But where we would use it is if see how we had this error. Remember that one we ran the error on?
Yeah.
So we would come to the next table that cost us money, which is this research one. And we would say we go run settings, it's on, but now we're going to say only run if, and then whatever that column name was. It's a true false. There you go. Owner verification is clean. So the column will only run if our owner verification passed, right?
Nice.
So now we save that, and so that's the trick. You do that everywhere that
Yeah.
you're going to spend money, right? So here I could say only run personalized email if our research is not null, or it doesn't have to be a value. You can say like is empty, not null, but you just stack each one because you don't care about the ones that cost you money. Don't cost you money. They can run as much as they want. But anything that calls an API or calls a clay credit, you stack it based off the previous thing that had to be complete and define what the output is.
Got it. Got it.
And then the other thing about waterfall, you asked, and I'm not sure if this is what you meant, but the other kind of waterfalls is when you want to find like email accounts or phone numbers. And so this is a waterfall to find an email. And if you click on it, it gets very expensive though. So you got to pay attention, and you can rearrange what enrichments it finds. If you have API keys for them, you can plug in your API keys. So you don't have to pay click credits, but that's what another waterfall is. So it would, in this case, it would go to find the email first. If it didn't find the email, it'd go to Prospeo, on and
Gotcha.
on and on. You can add other providers. So it's the concept of like, I'm going to go step by step until I find what I'm looking for. But you got to be really cautious with these because some of these are ridiculously expensive, like 30, 40 credits, and
Okay.
you can burn through. But
All
you
right.
now have 10,000 credits. You get that every month with your 350 plan. So it's a good time if you want to experiment with new things and use clay credits for them.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
these table is not going to cost you any clay credit. So you might as well don't, like if you want to double validate emails, because almost every enrichment in clay has a clay credit and the API. So a lot of times what I do with my clay credits is I'll try new verification tools. I'll try new like store leads data, or, um, since you're doing realtor stuff, another thing you may want to look into is that Apify. If you haven't seen any of my stuff on Apify,
Yeah,
they
I
have.
was actually just going to ask you that. Can you go to the other tables and pull up the one you had one for pitching websites using Apify?
I don't
It
even
might be something LinkedIn. Um, let's
brand
see.
voice or something. Is that
Yeah,
the one I did?
yeah, probably that one.
Yeah, it probably is this one. Yeah,
Was
I
this
think it
the
has
one
that.
for link or for running websites? I know you sent you sent a GIF from Apify to look at their website
Yeah,
and
yeah,
in LinkedIn. Type in LinkedIn, see if that.
yeah. I remember building it. I just can't remember what I called it.
There it is. Cohere personal LinkedIn. I think it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. I built so many. But let me just show you. I know I gotta go in just a minute, but let me show you Apify. Have you been into it?
A little bit, but I haven't used it yet.
So you now have that 350 plan. You can run Apify actors with Clay,
Oh,
or you
nice.
can use Apify. Come into Apify. It's not complicated. You just find the actor that you want. You can see all the different ones I use. But Zillow is in there, and I've run a Zillow table just to show you. So for the kind of leads that you're scraping, and just I'll show you to run a new one. You would just find the Zillow one, and like you can input addresses. You can do it in bulk, um, and so and it will. It's not going to be hard for you to figure this out. But since you're on that 350 plan, you can run an Apify enrichment for each row, and it could call the Zillow scraper, and you can pull like 1,000 results for $3. So it's another way for you to do lead gen. It's worth the time to learn, because once you can map one Apify to Clay, then the amount of data and actors that are in there, it's all over the board. Like all these different tools, Google Maps, Instagram, whatever you can think of. Apollo, like you can run Apollo leads in there ridiculously cheaper than Apollo itself. So I would take the time. It's worth learning this because you can just enhance your lead gen tenfold.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'd like to implement that for sure. That's been on my radar.
All right. Well, holler, just message me if you have any other questions that come up. I'll do my best to be quick, but I'll send you the recording. It takes usually an hour or two for it to transcribe and send to me, and then I'll forward it over to you too.
Yep, perfect.
Hopefully,
Thanks, Josh.
hopefully you
Appreciate
got
the
your
help.
money's worth.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
no
For
problem.
sure. Thank you.
See you, brother.